Okay, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today to talk about the Philadelphia Water Department's storm drain marking program. My name is Chessa Ramachadi and I work at the Partnership for the Delaware Estuary, and we are a clean water nonprofit that works in the Delaware, Philadelphia, New Jersey area on a whole host of different projects, and one of those we're going to talk about today. So before we get into that, I do want to give a little bit of background about the storm drain marking program, a little bit about why we do this program. So in order to know, why we do storm drain marking, we have to know a couple of important water words. So first is a watershed. So a watershed is the area of land drained by a river or another body of water. So we see in our picture here, we have all this rain falling down onto the land, and anywhere this rain falls will eventually drain into one body of water. So in this picture, it's draining into this river right here, and then this river is draining into this larger body of water here. Now, in the United States, our country is broken up into many different watersheds. So we are over here in this little yellow portion right here. We're in the Delaware River watershed. And what that means is that any water, any rain or snow that's falling anywhere within this red outlined area will eventually flow into the Delaware River, which is one of these blue lines right here is the Delaware River and all of the streams and creeks that flow into the Delaware River. Now, just like the United States can be broken up into smaller states, the watersheds can also be broken up into smaller watersheds. So we're in the Delaware River watershed, but within that in Philadelphia, we actually have smaller watersheds. So these are the 7 different watersheds of Philadelphia. We have Pequessing, Pennypack, the Tacony, Wissahickon, Schuylkill, Cobbs, and then the Delaware Direct. So today, we are talking with the West Oak Lane Library. So that is our nice star on their map here, is right in the Tacony watershed. So that means that all of this land area in purple, any water that falls onto that land is going to drain into the Tacony Creek, and then the Tacony Creek flows out into the Delaware River right here. There's another word I want to talk about, and you may have heard it in the name of my organization, estuary. So the estuary is a special part of the watershed. So as we saw in our other picture, right, this whole area, green and pink together, is the Delaware watershed, but only this bottom part is considered the estuary. So the estuary is the part of the river or creek where the tide flows in and out, and it mixes salt and fresh water. So here we have fresh water coming from the Delaware River, and it's mixing with salt water from the Atlantic Ocean, and the tide flows in and out all the way from Trenton, New Jersey, down to Lewis, Delaware, and Cape May, New Jersey. And all of this land area that drains into this portion, the tidal portion of the Delaware River, is called the Delaware Estuary. And it's a really productive area. There's a lot of animals and plants and special creatures that live there. And it's really important that we work to protect it. So an easy way to remember the estuary is where the river meets the sea. Now, we use water for a lot of things. right? So if you're joining me today, you can type into the chat, or if you're watching this video, type in something, think about something that you use water for on a daily basis. There may be a lot of different things that you use water for when you wake up in the morning. Oh, we have drinking and cooking as an example. Those are great ones. Some other things that we use water for: cleaning and bathing, right? Lots of things. So we use it to water our plants, right? We drink water, animals drink water. We have to wash our dishes. We have to clean our clothes, take a shower. We play in water, right? We go swimming, we might go ice skating, go boating or fishing. Lots of different ways we use water. But unfortunately, only 1% of all the water on Earth is fresh water that we can use. So all the water that we have on Earth, only 1% is actually fresh water we can use for all those important purposes, right? Most of the water is in our oceans. So we have 97% of our water is in our oceans. 3% is left our fresh water. And then of that fresh water that we have, a small, minute amount is surface water. And that surface water is what we a lot of times use for our drinking water that we use. And that's the water we use every day for cooking and cleaning and bathing, all those important purposes we just mentioned, right? Now, the next unfortunate thing is, of this water that we have to use that's limited, sometimes it gets polluted. Has anyone heard that word before, pollution? Not a fun word, right? So we have two types of pollution. The first type is pollution. It's called point source pollution. And that's where you can point to a specific thing and you know exactly where that pollution is coming from. So here's an example of water that's dirty from a pipe entering a stream or a creek. And that's not good for the waterway, right? Then you also have non-point source pollution. And this is pollution that you don't know exactly where it's coming from. Maybe you have a leaking car with gasoline or oil or litter on the street, right? All of these things are on the street, but you don't really know where they're coming from and where they're going to. Unfortunately, a lot of these things, right, that are on our street, and these water bottles look like they're close to a storm drain, that storm drain is going to lead where? To our waterways. So then our creatures that live in our oceans and on our rivers, they get stuck with our trash, which we don't like, right? We like to put our trash in the garbage, not in our storm drain, so that these guys don't get mistaken and accidentally eat our trash. Another thing to consider, especially in cities like Philadelphia, are the impacts that we have on our land. So ideally, in our communities, we would have a lot of green areas that can filter the water. These areas can really absorb a lot of water and help to filter and clean the water before it goes back out into our waterways. But in Philadelphia and a lot of cities, we have a lot of hard, impervious surfaces. And what that means is it's surfaces that the water cannot flow through. So I have some examples here, like a parking lot. We have a sidewalk or street. Even we have roofs, a lot of mowed lands or farmlands. They create a lot of runoff. Now that might be a new word, runoff. That is one of the reasons, stormwater runoff is one of the reasons that the storm drain marking program is so important in Philadelphia, because we have such high stormwater runoff. So think of that first picture I showed you before, where it was all that green space, right? The rain is coming down. Picture rain falling on that area. Most of the water is going to infiltrate and go into the ground, and only 10% of it is going to run off into the stream. But in an area that's developed, like Philadelphia, less of it can infiltrate into the ground. We have less of it going into the ground because we have all those hard surfaces, right? And more of it is running off into our streams. Now, have you ever been outside during like a really bad rainstorm and you're watching all of the water rush down the street, a big swale of water all going down the street and rushing into our storm drains? That's stormwater runoff, okay? And that water, we want to limit the amount of water that's running off, but we also want to make sure that only water is running off and not other things that could be on the ground. Like we mentioned before, the litter, the dog waste, fertilizers, that sort of thing. So now let's get into what you can do to help. So think about maybe something that you can do that would help this issue. We actually had a great response from the chat of being careful not to use pesticides in our garden, which is great. That's an excellent example of, not using too many fertilizers or pesticides on our plants, because if we use too many, those can end up in our local waterways and harm the animals and things that live in our water. So some other things we can do to help, right? We can pick up after our dogs. Wouldn't that be nice if our dogs could pick up after themselves? But that's our responsibility to pick up after our pups, because their dog waste is actually can be harmful to the environment. So it's very important to pick up after our dogs. We can also limit the water we use. We can plant plants in our yard. We had another great example: when you change the oil in your car, take the oil to a recycling center. Yes, we don't want to have any wasteful oil. We also don't want to dump anything down our storm drain. If you have any of those like oil, even cooking oil or other leftover materials from cleaning and things, you don't want to put those outside. You don't want to dump them in your storm drain. You want to take them somewhere where they're disposed of properly. Another thing you can do to help is actually planting green space around your home, or finding different ways to absorb water around your property. So this is has some examples about having a rain garden, maybe planting some flow-through planters. Also, just having a rain barrel can help to capture some of the water that's maybe on your roof before it goes into the storm drain, and then you can reuse it for other purposes. Now, finally, what we're all here to talk about today is you can help our waterways by actually marking storm drains in your community. So these medallions here, you might recognize that they actually correspond to the 7 different watersheds that I mentioned earlier. So for the West Oakland Library, we have our Drains to Tacony Creek purple medallion up here. And then we have different medallions that correspond to each of the different watersheds. Now, these serve a few purposes. First, they help to tell people that these storm drains actually lead to a waterway. So each of the medallions say, keep it clean, and which watershed, which river or waterway they drain to. They also have a phone number to call if there are clogs or someone's dumping something into the storm drain that they shouldn't be. There's a phone number to call in Philadelphia that they will help you out with fixing that storm drain. So that's really important. I have another question for all of my folks watching or listening in. If you can guess, how many storm drains do you think there are in the entire city of Philadelphia? I'm curious what you all think, how many storm drains we have. Remember, it's a very large city. We got 7 different watersheds. We have a guess of 1,500. That's a good guess. 20,000, another guess. Those are very good guesses. Unfortunately, very low. We have about 75,000 storm drains in the city. So with that many drains, that's why we need your help, our volunteers' help, to mark them and to make sure that people aren't using them incorrectly. So again, we have our little map here of the different watersheds, right? So these each correspond to one of the different medallions that we have. So next, I'm going to show a short little video clip of how to actually install our storm drain markers.
Marking storm drains with watershed medallions is one way the Philadelphia Water Department educates the public about where storm drains lead and how to keep our waterways clean. There are more than 75,000 storm drains across the city of Philadelphia, and some of those still need to be marked. That's why we rely on volunteers like you to install watershed medallions. In this video, we will show you step by step how to install a marker. Installing storm drain markers is best with a team of 2 to 4 people to make sure you are safe and to have more fun. Make sure it's a good day to install the markers. The outdoor temperature must be at least 45 degrees and the pavement must be dry. If it rained in the past day or two, wait another day until the pavement is completely dry to ensure the marker will stick securely. One member of your group should wear the safety vest provided, especially when going near the street so passing cars can see you. Check out the Philadelphia Water Department Storm Drain Marking app at phillyh2o.info/markers and enter your provided check-in code to see which drains are assigned to your team. Where the marker will stick securely. One member of your group should wear the safety vest provided, especially when going near the street so passing cars can see you. Check out the Philadelphia Water Department Storm Drain Marking app at phillyh2o.info/markers and enter your provided check-in code to see which drains are assigned to your team. It's important to mark the drains assigned to your group so that the city can accurately track which drains are marked. When you've spotted your first inlet, you're ready to install. When at the drain, choose a good spot for the marker to be placed. There's a few different types of storm drain inlets used in the city, so you may have to decide on a good spot at each of them. This means making sure people can easily see the marker when walking by and read the text from the sidewalk, not too close and not too far away from the drain. take a look at some of these drains with well-placed markers. When you're sure you've chosen the right spot, take out the gloves and the wire brush provided in your kit. Then use the wire brush to thoroughly sweep the area where the marker will go. The surface of the curb must be free of any loose debris so the marker can stick for as long as possible. Leaves, dirt, and debris can interfere with the adhesive and the look of your marker. Please also pick up any litter and debris that's blocking the storm drain and put it in a recycling bin or trash can. When the pavement is clear, you're ready to glue. Start about 1/8 of an inch from the outside edge of the marker and apply a generous amount of adhesive around the entire edge, and then work toward the center, creating a spiral of adhesive. Apply the marker to the area of the curb you prepared by pressing down hard and forcing a little of the adhesive out around the edges of the marker. Congratulations, you've installed a marker. Once you completed your first marker, continue with the other inlets assigned to your team. Check out our next video to see how to use the Philadelphia Water Department's Storm Drain Marking app to update which inlets you've marked. Thanks for protecting our waterways. Share photos of your marked drain on social media with the hashtag #CleanWatersPHL.
Great, so that video is available on our website, and I'll share the link at the end so you can go back and check it out. But basically, to recap the steps, you want to pick a good spot for the marker at each drain that you go to. And then you want to use the wire brush included to clean off the area, make sure there's no dirt or debris there so the marker will really stick. And then put on the gloves in our kit and create a little spiral of adhesive that's also included in the kit around the marker. And then you want to stick it down to the curb. It's a very, pretty simple process. Everything you need is included in the kit. And each kit contains enough materials to do 15 of these drains. And that's usually, we say, takes a group of 3 to 4 people, maybe a half hour to an hour, depending on how far apart the drains are. We also want to try as best as possible to track which of these drains are marked in the city and which are not. So that's why we have an online website that actually helps us to track which storm drains are marked and which are not. So we will assign you drains based on the area that you would like to mark. It can be around your home, around your school, around your neighborhood park, somewhere that you just are really interested in going to and want to mark the drains there. We will assign you drains around that area, and then you can go ahead and install them. So this next short video is going to explain how to use our storm drain marking app to actually view and update your assigned drains.
The Philadelphia Water Department Storm Drain Marking app is used to track which storm drain inlets are marked with watershed medallions and which still need to be marked. There are more than 75,000 inlets across the city that need to be marked. In Philadelphia, storm drains flow into one of 7 different rivers or creeks: the Delaware River, the Schuylkill River, Cobbs Creek, Wissahickon Creek, Tacony Creek, Pennypack Creek, and Pequesson Creek. The marking app shows which river or creek that water from each inlet drains into. Explore the map to see which watershed you live in and find out which mascot and color represent your watershed. On the day of your marking event, head to markingapp.philadelphiawater.org on your smartphone or a computer and click Check into a marking event. Enter the check-in code that was provided for your event and follow the prompts to see what inlets are assigned to your team. The different symbols on the map can help you identify the inlets. Big circles in your watershed's color indicate unmarked inlets that are assigned to your event. These are the ones you want to find and mark. Small grayed out circles represent inlets in your watershed that are not assigned to your event. Tiny circles in your watershed's color represent inlets that are already marked within your watershed, and tiny black circles represent inlets that you should avoid. These could be outside your watershed, a little too dangerous to reach, or inlets that should not be marked for some other reason. Once you've located your assigned inlet, tap it. If you were able to successfully install the storm drain marker, tap Mark this drain. If there is already a storm drain marker on the inlet you were supposed to mark, tap Already Marked. And if there is a problem with the inlet, tap Can't Mark It. You can also get further instructions on installing the storm drain markers by tapping How to Mark. During your event, if you see any damaged or missing markers, you can also report those in the app. Simply tap the tiny circle that represents that inlet and tap Report a Problem. Follow the prompts on the screen to describe the issue. Continue marking your assigned inlets and updating them in the app. When you are all finished, tap the menu button in the top left-hand corner and tap Checkout. Be sure to share your storm drain marking experience with us by using the hashtag CleanWatersPHL on social media. And thank you for helping Philadelphia keep its waterways clean.
So again, these instructions are all included in the kit. The video is on our website for you to view again. But basically, you want to use your check-in code that we provide to you and view which inlets are assigned to your group. And then you can tap them on either your phone, on a computer, and then you just tap that you have marked the drain and then go on to the next one. And when you're all finished, you can check out of your event, and we will then receive that information and we know that you were able to install the storm drain marker successfully. A couple things to remember when you're installing storm drains. You are close to the street, so you want to wear the safety vest provided. You want to either go with an adult or make sure you have a parent or guardian, someone with you that will help make sure that the area is safe for you to be installing the storm drains. Also, it's very important to wear the gloves when you're handling the adhesive glue in the kit. We want to make sure we have gloves in the kit, make sure you use them. And then last, of course, have fun. This should be a fun activity for you to get outside, a new, different way for you to help keep our waterways and our streets clean in Philadelphia. So we are very grateful for your help in this program. So in order to get your kit, if you live around the West Oak Lane Library, you can actually go and pick up a kit at the library. You can also go to our website, markingapp.philadelphiawater.org, and submit a request there. And then we will be able to assign you the drains where you will go out and mark. So you can tell us what area you want to mark, and then we will assign you the drains near that area. So again, thank you so much to all of you for joining us and watching and learning a little bit about the storm drain marking program. More information can be found on our website, delawareestuary.org/mark-a-storm-drain. And everything you need is there to learn more about the program and sign up. So thanks again for joining, and we really hope that you will help us mark some storm drains. We got 75,000 storm drains, and a lot of those still need to be marked. So we hope you will join us. Thank you.